Never in the history of the world have the merchants of obscenity had available to them the modern facilities for disseminating this filth. Disseminating this filth. The onslaught of the communist masters of deceit.
Pinko, Commie, Slutz. Pinko, Commie, Slutz. Pinko, Commie, Slutz. Pinko, Commie, Slutz.
Hello.
Hello, Marlo. Steve's here.
Zippity doo dah. It's my new call-in.
That's right. You're a big star.
I'm a big star.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everyone to Pinko, Commie, Slutz. We're all here. But most importantly, yes, Steve Collette, you're here. You had a whole write-up on you, essentially, this week. How did that feel?
I hate it. It is so annoying. I plan on talking a lot about why I hated it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a very low bar for these things. It at least sounded like it was... Okay, what's happening over there?
Sorry, I placed my phone down on the table, and I guess it made a loud sound.
So, back to the important stuff, Steve. No, it did feel like it was about you.
Yes.
A stranger's impression of you, of course, but it was at least like had a semblance to you. Whereas I've known other people who've gotten write-ups where I'm like, who is this motherfucker they're talking about, including myself. I've never had anything that extensive, but like...
Yeah, it was like 10,000 words. It
was long. It was long, boy.
I want to hear your guys' impressions, though, of the content before I get into my feeling.
I guess I'll go first since I'm not in it.
I'm not in it either.
God damn it. Okay, fine.
That's the fiction we maintain.
I'm not in it either, Bunny.
Well, no.
A simulacrum of myself is in it.
Steve's in it. No, they mention your name.
Yeah,
They
but
don't
my
just
name is
mention
not
your
me.
name.
Not me.
Yes, it is.
Is that glorious head of hair you have, which was
accurate.
described in detail at least twice, much to my enjoyment.
Dude, you should totally use those quotes and also that photograph for album purposes.
But yes, which is true. I want it known. It is true. Steve's got beautiful hair, special, above average, beautiful hair. It's
Sebastian Bach level.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, if you meet Steve, you've got to write about it. So,
the only takeaway.
I did enjoy that. Of course, it was a stranger who was also focused on, it wasn't just about Steve in general. Of course, it was about your experience working for the Epoch Times.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like that it felt about you. I did feel like there was some judgment from the author of the piece. But it felt very much to me like a very young person. I mean, obviously he's not, was it a he or a she? I don't know.
A he, Oscar.
Obviously he's not aware of class. He seemed to talk about that aspect of things as if it was just some like weird shit you were getting into now almost. Instead of a serious thing. Also, he seemed young to me.
Yeah, he was very green.
Yeah, seemed young, seemed like, yes, Steve with the great hair. I hear what you're saying, but myself, I would have done everything differently and on only my moral principles, which I kind of got that vibe from the piece as well. Like that he wasn't sympathetic to the fact that there's not just a million jobs out here. Like, you get a singular job that pays you on time.
Marlo, did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was pretty informative, and I mostly have a good impression of it. However, I do see the complaints you have.
Well, admittedly, if you were in it, Marlo, you come out looking pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that one Martin character was the shit. Highlight of the fucking article.
Our mutual friend named Boris, that's what we're calling him, said that the least truthful part, or the least believable part about Martin's interaction in the piece, was that it was only the second bottle of wine that we were on the night of the...
Yeah, I think I got like 4 Charles Shaws that night. And I know we ordered pizza from that one place, so it was nice.
I do remember very distinctly the quote, "God damn it, I don't want to have to see Donald Trump's face for the next 4 fucking years."
Yeah, that sounds like something I'd say.
Yes, but to piggyback on Bunny's noted criticism, I thought that the piece itself was at war with itself, or it was in conflict, in contradiction to itself. And they set it up in the first part, like the last line of the first part is when they quote me saying that there is no objective truth or journalism, but it's all propaganda. And then he ended the piece on whining about the erosion of truth.
Yeah.
How people, don't believe the media anymore. And here's this guy who got duped into doing this. And it seemed like the content all seemed in service to that contradiction. Like, he had this liberal idealist, way in which truth is presented as fact and objective. And me saying that almost seemed profane or sacrilegious, like it was breaking some covenant, really. Like I wasn't sipping from the well of truth, or I was spreading the news that truth was dead.
Yeah, journalists and comedians are the most self-important people in the world.
Yeah.
Who aren't lawyers. Actually, lawyers have at least a level of self-loathing. But yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Comedians don't have a level of self-loathing.
Yeah, but you have this notion that you're these brave truth tellers in a world that's
the only one who's brave is Borat.
Yeah.
That is a narrative that's out there. I've always liked to make a bit of fun. Because people have come up to me and told me I am brave. And I'm naturally brave over here, talking on a stage. Shouldn't I?
I personally believe anyone who exists as a woman in this society is brave. So that's just
a correct answer. That's pretty true.
Yeah.
But what the fuck does erosion of truth mean?
I don't know.
How can you erode something that you believe is constant?
What? He said that.
And he said that.
Yeah.
I guess there's truth and it's eroding.
But how can something that's objectively constant and just exists, how can it erode?
Well, see, this journalists believe themselves to be scientists. They believe themselves to be scientists. They use this scientific method at coming to facts and...
You know what else?
What?
Fuck scientists.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
fuck scientists.
it's all just people.
But this is the issue, is that they think that if they talk to a Biden supporter and they talk to a Trump supporter, that they'll synthesize those two truths to them believing the objective truth of who's going to win the election. And the example in here is they got the name of the fucking book wrong. They got the name of my second poetry book, Songs for Gaia. They called it, I think, Words for Gaia or Titles for Gaia or whatever the fuck. They miss, okay, so like details I know are not important. And the fact checker called me and asked me if it was the correct title, and I corrected her, and she apparently did not correct the final published form. But my point is that like truth is always editorialized. You know, facts are like things that people say via telephone, a game of telephone.
The issue is that you're speaking to a conversation that is on another level than where a lot of people are even comfortable at, because they need to cling to something.
Well, yes.
Faith is a fact.
Yes. No, that's what I was getting at, is it's very like a very Kierkegaardian thing to believe in objective truth. You have to have this leap of faith in order, like you can get through the science of talking to everybody in a room to find out who killed Mr. Green in what room, but like you can talk to all the people and you can consult security cameras, but like who's going to be the objective truth in the matter is a matter, like believing in that objectivity is part of this extra step you need to take. And like this Oscar fellow believed in an objective truth and didn't like that I didn't, and used my story to showcase how we should mourn over the death of truth in our society, because I don't know.
Isn't that also indulgent, right?
Yeah, no, it's
exactly what it's exactly kind of what he thinks he's criticizing.
Right, exactly. He contradicts himself within his own argument, arguing for objective truth. Like he's arguing on behalf of objective truth through this very subjective ideological lens. And it is mind-numbing to read and think that like I was duped into participating in the fucking 20 hours of interviews he did with me.
Well, it was in depth.
It was in depth. I mean, I had inklings that this was going to happen throughout time talking to him. The instance that really tipped me off was when he asked me what's the message I wanted the readers to get from this piece. What's the overall, like, what message did I want to impart to them? Like at the end of an Aesop's fable, there's, this lesson at the end. What's the lesson that I wanted them to learn from my story? And my answer was to fight the everyday fascist, the fascism of the everyday, and to not just say that Trump is a fascist and we should vote against him, not just say X, Y, and Z are these political abstractions, but like sometimes it's the Chinese lady on the street corner handing out newspapers. Sometimes it's I don't know, your parents or your police officers or your figures of authority that are in your everyday that you need to be cognizant of the creeping sides of fascism within this very far right society. And he turned to me and said, but you didn't do that when you were working at the Epoch Times. You stayed in the newspaper. And I'm like, that's not the point at all. I was a worker. Do you not know what a worker is? Do you not know what working for a company is?
Yeah, I mean...
Well, and also, it's easy from right now to look back and be like, oh, you should have been like, fucking I'm out here, man. I see where this is going.
But no, I couldn't, because
you couldn't.
Material conditions. I knew what I was in. Like, Marlo can attest to that. I knew very of who I was writing for and what I was writing about. Except there was no other fucking jobs. Like, what am I going to do? Like, leave this job after 3 months, my first gig in the industry?
But that's what he would want you to do.
That is what he pressed me as to why I didn't do it. And I'm like, dude, have you never worked in your life?
Well, yeah. Where does the money come from, basically? Man, it sucks.
There was a dearth of class consciousness in the piece. It seemed like he identified the alienation of working for somebody that didn't align with you politically and for writing about things that didn't align with you politically, but he had no grasp of what was alienating about that. Like, he just acknowledged that there was an alienation, that there was a disconnection, and like, I coped with it in different ways, which I also found pretty insulting. But that I somehow used intellectual sleights of hand to...
Oh, he did use that phrase, exactly.
Just like vulgarly stupid to say. Why? You used intellectual sleights of hand to justify this article, Oscar, if you're listening right now. Like, you did, just as I did. And he viewed me as an other, which was perhaps the most insulting part. You would think that a journalist would view you, as a comrade or as somebody struggling the same struggle media. So I hated it. Like, it was good if you were looking for an exposition or, an in-depth dive into what I did, but I thought the overall message of the piece, it just wasn't good. It wasn't a good message. It was crying about the erosion of objectivity.
Well, but that's very much what a subset of people want to cry about right now, right? Like, that's what they want to blame things on. It's not that this guy's a fascist and blah, blah, blah. It's this darn erosion of truth. Because I hate this assumption that if everybody just had access to good, objective information, then everyone would make the right choice.
Yep.
And it's not true.
There are different material interests that different groups have.
Yeah, and that is quantifiable and something you can look at, right? What the material interests are. But everybody wants to turn it into intangibles.
Well, ideals. They want to view it as a battle of ideas, and the ones with the best, most objective truths wins the battle of the ideas, and those are the people.
Well, and then they suck dick about this idea of the person, this noble person who sacrifices themselves for truth, objectivity, integrity, all these easy ideals to have when you're writing a movie script. Easy to apply retroactively to other people and circumstances you weren't in. But also, it's turning it into an intangible instead of, despite possibly Oscar's best efforts, you did say enough times, I needed to pay rent. I didn't want to skip meals. So it's in there.
It's in there. It's like buried beneath the haze of...
People think that's bullshit. That's the problem. Everyone's a fucking asshole who is conditioned.
Well, it's very cynical. It's very cynical,
but it's also this conditioning that says you calling attention to your material conditions during that time is no, don't focus on that. It was a brief period. It was temporary. It was because of this. It was because of that. Instead of, getting actually coldly, intellectually detached and saying, what are the material conditions and how free are people to choose in these circumstances, which boggles my mind. These people talking about their objective truth and they don't even actually go for it. They go for like a facsimile that's really made up of superhero parts and bullshit.
Again, I go back to like, what is the erosion of truth? What is the truth in the first place that they are viewing as being eroded? and the truth that I think that they're talking about is the ability for people to look in a nonpartisan, apolitical, generally, I mean, it's the same song and dance that every journalist has ever, journalistic bullshit that has always been, which is interview as many people as possible, from as many different perspectives. And at the end of it, you will have as close to the most objective truth to it. And if you don't do that, and if you interview too many people on one side of the issue that say one thing, and you don't interview the people that say the other thing, then there's this erosion of truth that if you only talk to people who think Trump is going to win the election,
regardless of how many of these people actually exist,
right.
It's all about having both sides, right? It's all about having this and then the opposite, and then the opposite, because we're horny for a binary.
The thing is that it does it to itself. The liberal notion of truth, this idea that we need to talk to these binary, that is what erodes the truth.
Well, and it's also a fiction that makes well-off liberals feel good.
It's a middle-class project.
More than
it's
any.
It's a middle-class bourgeois project.
I remember when I was a child and like the Daily Show first moved to basic cable. And it was like right after 9/11. And I remember thinking like, oh man, Jon Stewart has him. Like he said one thing and then like he said another thing. Jon Stewart did it. He can't keep doing this. And obviously George Bush could keep doing that. And there's no problem with that. But I thought that at the time, but also I was a child.
The see will change things.
Yeah.
But I also feel like this came up in my experience in the 2006, covering the 2016 election, when for instance, on MSNBC, there wasn't anybody representing the Trump campaign on MSNBC or CNN for that matter. Like they had Lewandowski as the only guy. Remember him? He was great. Was like beat up journalists came too close to the president, and for some reason they just didn't want him on the network, and they didn't want they banned Kellyanne Conway for telling too much untruth. And
I love Kellyanne Conway's untruths.
And then this bubble of truth, wouldn't let these people that were spouting untruths, which, some of them are, they're not quite accuracies, but they're heavily editorialized facts and very partisan positions to take. And they're oftentimes, fudging numbers. And then eventually they got on the networks. Actually, there was a Trump person on all of these networks, and eventually they let them on because they won. They won the election. Now they're arguing with people who are the truth holders, and the truth holders always dismiss them as cranks or crazies or frankly eroders of truth. And but they did it to themselves. This both sides. Scientificifying of the truth or of journalism, it's done it to itself.
It's also idealizing this idea of civility, right? It's also where we've seen Democrats put some sort of play of civility over any kind of actual progress. It's a sickness. It's an addiction.
It's a brain disease. Which is like faith and like religion. It's, also brain diseases that you need to make a leap.
Well, you can have it. You can be aware that it's a brain disease and say, I'm going to make this brain disease work for me. I mean, I guess you could argue a lot of these people do.
Well, they make careers off of it. They write books about it. They complain about it endlessly in articles about me. There's no reflection on what conditions the erosion of truth happened under and what.
Well, also, when was this time where everybody had the truth? Who was showing the truth at all
Woodward
times?
and Bernstein, like that.
Woodward and Bernstein.
Okay.
No, I agree with that. Yeah.
They love this idea of a man who is a Republican in his private life, was so committed to truth that he took down a Republican president, but they forget the aspect of that story that Nixon was a Quaker and he fucking hated Quakers. I made that up.
Yeah.
I still stand by the basic premise of the article that I put, that there is no difference between the news and propaganda, that objectivity is about who has power. That's the quote that I give.
I feel like people used to know this.
I feel like I read a Chomsky book about it, named Propaganda. Like, that should be something that people take for granted, but they always other that concept. Like FT is propaganda because it's run by the, it's got the material interests of the Russian government. RT.
Yeah. Financial Times is also propaganda, but
yeah, FT, RT. What's the one in the Cuban one? State. They always say. Yeah, state-run governments are the ones that propaganda machines because they're funded by the state itself. But you know who doesn't have any materials and things in the media? Corporations. Mm-hmm. And the free press has nothing to do with the corporations that fund it. The corporations are actually more objective than any state could possibly be. And none of their material interests are represented in any of the coverage. Also, the general CIA or general intelligence services that just populate, I assume, the hallways of MSNBC. That comes on to talk in MSNBC is just a former intelligence crank. Brennan, who else? All these they're either ex-Bush people or they're ex-FBI informants. And, I'm sick of being told that these people are somehow not beholden to their material interests.
I hate that CNN is oh yeah, let's normalize having Rick Santorum here. Yeah. He's just a comment in a way, and he looks like a little paper mache version of his former self.
Not in any ways representing the asshole.
Yeah.
Of his yesteryears.
I know. Those were the days.
I think John Kasich is now MSNBC contributor, and he's objective. He's about as objective as they get. But my favorite's always Steve Schmidt, that cue ball of a man, haunted by Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my rant about. Check it out. It's called Stranger Than Fiction.
Yeah, it is.
At atavis.com or I don't even know.
Yeah.
Might not be worth your time. I wouldn't read it. Who I just gave of it.
I mean, if you want to know a lot about Steve's hair.
Yeah, and a picture in black and white for some goddamn reason.
Because it looks fucking cool as shit, dude.
There's more than one photo in that piece of you.
Of in black and white.
Yes.
The decisions. Ariel was this. Whoever decided to hire this cameraman was awful.
Yeah.
Pictures are not good. Pictures are not good.
I don't know. I think they were mysterious and pretty badass. Like a Britpop liner notes in the 90s.
Like the Oasis. Like you open them up and there's Wonderwall lyrics there.
Oh my god, yeah. I have an activity to do now. They look cool. I mean, I've never seen Oasis liner notes, but I imagine that's what they look like.
No, they just have the two brothers fighting in them.
Yeah.
The brothers war with them just doing the chicken dance.
Yep. But I don't know. That's cool. Thought it was all right. I'd read it.
Yeah. I told people to read it, so I stand by it. But also, you know how it is. People don't get it.
Nobody understands me is really the message I want to get.
Yeah. 2 days
Yeah.
gonna be the day. Something.
All gonna come back to you. All gonna come back to you.
Yeah, however that song goes. I don't know.
Yeah. You know how that song. Well, what else did you guys do this week? Did you all watch?
Nah, that shit makes me uncomfortable.
I saw it twice.
I liked it very much.
It was very good. Surprisingly amazing. I'll watch it a third time.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part?
I really liked the fertility dance.
Best part. Yeah, one of the best.
I really loved the girl who plays Borat's daughter. She's
really from
had
Bulgaria.
It.
I know because my brother-in-law is Bulgarian, and he says so.
Oh yeah, well that's what you do, especially if you're from the Balkans. You keep track of who's who.
Who's making it?
Which one that you can claim. I'm just glad it wasn't another fucking Albanian. Jesus Christ.
Okay, I love the scene. She's sitting down with the doctor for the plastic surgery.
Yeah.
And they're talking about giving her a nose job. And what does she say, Bunny?
She's like, is there something wrong with my nose? Do I look like a Jew?
and the doctor turns to her and goes, No, you have a small nose, and they high five, and Sacha Baron Cohen goes, yes, because sometimes they have, and he starts doing these large bumps, like bumped trunk, and he starts reaching around the side, and you just look at her face, and she is cracking up. She can't hold it together, and the doctor just goes, yeah, some of them are like that.
It was surprisingly endearing as a movie.
More so than the first one, I think.
Yeah.
More sentimental. More. The Giuliani scene was a big disappointment.
Yeah, it's not that
scandalous.
It's not that scandalous.
He definitely was tucking in his shirt. He was not touching himself, at least not egregiously. And it was a really good PR move, though. Like, I sent it to the Borat people.
Oh, yeah.
They just put that on the front page of like the New York Post.
Well, and there was quite a bit that didn't make it into the movie. The woman who played Tutar, she got like hooked up with OAN and got access to the White House without any security clearance at all.
That was really impressive.
She was
to me.
good.
Like, that's the long con right there. They must have had her embedded as a YouTube channel. I mean, I guess, like, who am I to say? Like, whatever. I've worked for fake news in fake, like, 3 or 4 interviews, and then you'll get invited by OAN to go meet the president. I guess that's how it works. If you're like a beautiful blonde woman without a Jew nose, who's interviewing people from a far right perspective.
Yeah, but what she's doing is what Sacha Baron Cohen established as Borat does so well, which is this commitment to this character is so strong that people go with it. And all she has to do is be kind of flattering and starstruck. And it gave her an air of vulnerability. And they were like, yeah, come on.
Do you have a favorite person they interviewed?
Oh man, I really enjoyed I already said the fertility dance, but I enjoyed there's a girl in that like debutante ball.
Yes. You're fucking gross.
They're like goading her dad. He's like, how much you think my daughter worth? And like he's like $500. which insulting. But it causes his daughter to be like, "You're fucking gross."
You're fucking gross.
Gross. There's, unfortunately, the song of this one is not as catchy as "Throw the Jew Down the Well."
Yes. Wait, no, but I love the song was.
Inject them with the
Wuhan flu. That was a good scene.
And chop them up like the Saudis do.
Khashoggi style.
Yeah, that's for your
my
people. The
journalists.
Oh no, I've written a blog. They're gonna get me too.
Iran's coming after me.
Saudi Arabia.
I was making a joke. I wouldn't be writing against Saudi Arabia's interests because they're the good guys. I would be writing
We want to make it clear.
Iran's interests in service to Israel. In service to Israel.
Saudi Arabia is fighting with Turkey, and they replaced all the Turkish markets with Greek versions.
We never got to talk. We need a response, though, Bunny, to Hassan.
Oh, about the Turkish versus Greek food. First of all, I don't need to watch a 20-minute video of someone talking in Turkish for half.
Already offensive to her.
There's too many. But there were some food takes that were just like based on. I'm like, the Greek food? Has he gotten just mall Greek food before?
Hassan's a himbo, and after this, we were friends, but now we're not. Now we can't be friends because he insulted the Greeks too much.
Someone's got to put those island people in their place.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that is true. We don't have any clocks on the islands.
As a podcast,
someone's gonna come in and tell us what.
As a podcast, we were once friends with Hassan, but from a distance because he is Turkish. No matter how cool or attractive he may or may not be.
I want to establish that again. I support the Turks in all their endeavors.
Okay, so Marlowe's on the side of the Turks.
I bet you're on the side of me getting hustled the other night from a fake Greek restaurant. They sent me canned dolma when they said they had real stuffed grapevine leaves with beef and the whole thing. Just like he talks about.
Can you curse him? Can you curse him out in Greek? Can we send it to him?
Because I feel like all the real good like rolling curses I know are also homophobic.
Well, surely there's like Greek specific curses for Turkish
Turks. Yeah,
just get racist with it, but it's not racist because like
it's in another language.
Yeah, one and two.
The only racist language is American.
And two, compared to the Turks, the Greeks are the POCs.
Yeah, that is true. That is a truth.
I know you
I
do.
stand by me, Bunny Themelis. I sign my name to that every day. I don't feel like it's a curse out.
It's a curse out. He was speaking in Turkish against your people. He was shitting on Greek food.
Which I will say, being down
75,000 people.
Being down in South Jersey, I fucking miss like decent fucking Greek food.
I know. You guys should all come to Yaya's. Yaya's.
I really like Opas in Astoria. That's always been my jam.
Well, we got our Opas and our Yaya's in Bushwick.
Yeah.
If you're ever in Baltimore, anybody, the best place is Samos, the original Samos. It's still cash only, but that's where you go.
Is that in Greektown?
Yeah, for the real deal.
I need
It is in
I need a
Greektown.
basket of
Sure
fucking
is.
smelts. Like I cannot get that shit here. I can't get the fucking smelts. I miss smelts so goddamn much. The way their skulls crunch under your teeth. Yeah. I fucking miss smelts. Yeah, no, you can get like some okay hummus and shit, but like that's basically it.
Well, and I also don't like when people act like gyros are like what we'd make somebody in our home.
Wait,
it's a diaspora street food.
that's right. You were gonna say it was imperialistic too. That
Yeah.
he was being
How
being a
dare
bad
you-
leftist.
No,
He was being a bad leftist.
This is my entire issue with their entire thing. Is if you're truly committed, you look at this through an anti-imperialist lens, and any relation between these foods that people claim as each Turks and Greeks claim, oh, we made yogurt. You know, it's every day on Twitter. This eternal struggle. It's fucked up. If we're talking about a successful imperialist force that controlled these areas for hundreds of years through oppressive and violent means. So fucking seed us the food, and if you're about it, that's what I say.
Yeah, the official stance of this podcast, except for me, is Greeks are POC, and my official stance is God save Erdogan.
No, you also think they're POC.
Oh yeah, no, I think they're POC, but in a bad way. And also, Erdogan is the savior of Central Asia.
Erdogan.
Or Western Asia. I don't know. Some part of Asia.
Yeah.
Or some might
That's right,
say
Western
Europe.
Asia.
Yeah.
He'd say Europe. He loves to talk about that bit.
Look, listeners, if there's one thing you take
That's
away is please support Turkey's bid for EU membership. That is the one thing that this podcast stands for above all other things.
Yes, above all other things, we want Turkey to be an EU member.
You don't like it, you're racist.
Oh, man. But yeah, so I mean, there is a part of me that thinks it is kind of a weird thing I see, because it's not like the Ottoman Empire was hundreds of years ago. It was
but
100
like
years
honestly,
ago.
it was so shitty 100 years ago.
They still were doing a genocide.
I don't know. I just feel
I think if anyone's gonna
countries,
what do we hate empires? These are the reasons we don't like empires.
Look, I'm a Luxembourgist. I say that national self-determination is a liberal fantasy. But yeah.
Well, I'm not making a pro-nationalist argument by pointing out that you can't act like
I'm just saying, like, if you guys were like smart like Egyptians, you would have just been like, yeah, we're not a part of your empire anymore, and you can't do anything about it, you know.
But the Turks don't have a deep abiding hatred.
Yeah, because the Egyptians told them to like
the same way
fuck
they
off
do
in the
for Greeks,
1600s,
Kurds, and
and
Armenians.
the Ottomans were like, okay, I guess.
If we just
it's seriously the dumbest fucking empire that's ever existed, and if you were under their bootstraps, I'm saying that's kind of your fault.
So the Ottoman Empire is the dumbest empire that ever
dysfunctional empire, and that includes the Holy Roman.
The Holy Roman was just stupid.
Yeah, but like the Ottoman
Germany
was somehow dumber. They're like, hey, what if we just...
How can you call yourself a pro-Turk Erdogan supporter and have these feelings about the Ottoman Empire?
Aren't
consistent.
Okay with that.
Okay, is it dumber though than the Austro-Hungarian?
Yes. Yeah, no, the Ottoman...
I mean, the Austro-Hungarian were just broke up into like two.
No, there were two kingdoms united under one crown. But yeah, no, the Austro-Hungarians like were stealing shit from the Ottoman Empire the whole time, because it was like, seriously, you could just go to the empire and be like, hey, do you have like some mustard on your shirt? And it'll look down and then you flick its nose up and you can like take part of the Balkans that way.
You know who we should laud here, except for Marlowe? Or wait, Marlowe's pro or anti-Ottoman Empire? I can't keep.
He thinks the Ottoman Empire is stupid.
Incredibly, they were just like, oh, let's make our elite soldiers some slaves. And then the soldier slaves are like, yeah, we're going to like just run Egypt from now on. And they're like, okay.
Well, you know who single-handedly brought down the Ottoman Empire? Like, you know, by himself as a white man. T.E. Lawrence.
Yeah.
You know, single-handedly. He just led all the brown people to destroy the Ottoman Empire.
Oh, let's be Muslim, but we all kind of drink and it doesn't matter. You know, the worst fucking empire. Like, just,
and Alec Guinness was there too.
Yeah.
What? Okay, so what's the best empire?
No, I don't know.
Mongolian?
You can't.
Yeah, I mean, that was very briefly an empire. Oh, gee, I guess it was an empire because he was the emperor. I guess Japan, because like the emperor is a god, so that's got to be cool. Nah, I don't know. I don't really like any empires.
something with the name Gay brought down the Japanese empire.
Yeah,
Gay.
Well, they can't be that right then. Yeah, I don't know what empires I like. Come to think of it. I guess the short-lived times that Hades baselessly called itself an empire. Yeah, no, Haiti has there have been multiple emperors of Haiti, based on nothing. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Multiple emperors of Haiti.
Jean-Jacques Dessalines or Jacques the First, Emperor of Haiti. I'll go with that one.
What's your favorite empire, Bunny? The Greek?
I mean, it's got to be. There wasn't a Greek empire.
The Aegean Sea?
I guess the Hellenistic empire.
Not the Byzantines? Or, I'm sorry, Roman.
I mean, the Byzantines. Oh, no, we never say Roman as Greeks. We never want to be confused with the West religiously. So, yeah, we always say Byzantine. And there's always an emphasis that they spoke Greek in the Byzantine Empire.
Yeah, there's a Wikipedia page of list of empires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Syrian Empire.
Well, there's cool. The Assyrian Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Assyria.
I mean, I think I'm going to be basic and say like the proper Roman Empire, just because Rome was a shithole, and then it became this like grandiose, like ridiculous place, and then like people who were leading it were just so crazy and interesting.
First empire of Haiti.
We know so much about it too. So I think I'm biased in that regard. Like, we have so much access to the mundanities of political intrigue in ancient Rome. And so that would be my favorite. Also, it's like removed enough and yet the basis for the modern era.
I'll say, ironically, my favorite would be probably the German Empire.
German Empire?
There was only one, and it was from 1886 to 1918.
1871, wasn't it?
1871, yeah. I don't know. German unification always seemed fascinating because they were like late to the game as far as like nation building went, and then it all went to shit real quick, like really fast over the course of one generation. They were like, oh, let's have all these weird Germanic giant people, I assume, like come together under the banner of Germanic Empire, and then like let's fuck the rest of the world, and then collapse and leave the conditions for the next. What's his name again? But yeah, German unification has always been fascinating because Bismarck was an asshole, and they had like so many states too. There were like, I mean, it wasn't city states, was it? It was just
it was like
regions.
it was former like duchies and sub kingdoms and shit like that.
Yeah, it wasn't really unified. It was like a mixture of parts of it were Catholic, but a lot of it was Lutheran.
It was various feudal polities that were in the Holy Roman Empire until Napoleon ended the Holy Roman Empire, and then they were in the Confederation of the Rhine, and then later the German League, and that
was the section that they lost after the war that pissed them off so much. The Rhine.
No, that's Alsace and Lorraine.
Alsace and Lorraine.
Yes, this has been history with Marlo.
I, of course, know all of my German history through great works of theater. So if it didn't happen in Mutterkar...
Ooh, the Median Empire. It's going to be a fun one. The first Iranian Empire. All right. What are we going to talk about next? Oh, there's something happening next week.
Halloween.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's Halloween.
It's Halloween.
I mean, we're going to have one more episode, but we're like a week out of the election.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, all right.
I've been watching Captain N, the Game Master, for some fucking reason.
Well, I started watching
the
The Queen's
episodes,
Gambit.
I've been rewatching Waco.
Yeah, fun. I did that at the start of the pandemic.
That's a good one for pandemic.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's inside. They're all inside. It's a lot of inside.
Also there was, I just watched Witches, the new one.
Oh,
yes,
the new one?
set in 1630. Yeah, it's in, it's in 1630, like Jamestown or outside of a plantation. They get kicked out by the Pilgrims, and this family, gets killed one by one by a witch. But Marlo, I wanted to recommend, if you haven't seen it already, Mandy.
Which one's Mandy?
Yeah.
Mandy is like Turbo Kid with Nicolas Cage.
Okay, interesting.
It is kind of surreal, not quite. It's set in 1983, and Nicolas Cage is in love or married to this woman, and they're living in the backwoods. And then an evil cult, Jesus cult, with a cult leader comes in, and devil shit happens.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember.
Nicolas Cage goes all Wicker Man.
Yeah, I remember Red Letter Media did a thing on this.
He is amazing in it, and it just reminds me of you because it is that kind of like 80s pastiche of like Turbo Kids, but not as fun, but darker. And it's got these long scenes with colors that are very dreamlike. And I think you would like it.
All right. Well, probably.
It's gory. And
that's the thing. I don't really like gory shit.
But it's like Turbo Kid gore. It's like...
Oh, okay. All right.
It's like... It's over the top, kind of like Nicolas Cage being crazy. With a giant sword that he makes for himself. And then he has to go fight the evil cult. It's great.
Word. Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, I remember they did it on half in the bag when it came out, and I didn't think that I particularly liked the movie, but yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Well, I like it, but I also like...
Yeah, like I don't like slasher movies,
This isn't as much of a slasher movie as it is like evil cult movie, but with a lot of horror elements to it.
Like I would not want to see Midsummer or that other one that he did that everyone likes better.
Hereditary. Yeah.
Hereditary.
Yeah, this is
Well, Hereditary is like a lot scarier.
Yes.
Yeah, either way. I don't know. Yeah.
I love
I mean,
Midsommar.
sounds good. I'm not
But-
saying it's not good. I just, shit makes me uncomfortable.
I just recommend it if you want to like do a Halloween movie that's like not scary and more campy, but also plus Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, no, I'd probably, based on what you're telling me, I'd probably like it.
I thought of you watching it.
Well, or you should just watch.
And I mean, then like,
Adam
meanwhile, I
Sandler.
definitely like, like fucking Blue Ruin and shit, and Green Room.
Green Room. I recently rewatched that, and that's sort of gotten us on that of scary movies.
Yeah,
Green Room is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Green Room's fun as shit.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's
One of my favorite.
Yeah, no, it was a really good movie. Captain and the Game Master has a funny name. Matt, you should bleep out every time I say N in Captain and the Game Master. Yeah, no, like weird 80s cartoon that like Nintendo sponsored to dump off their lame characters that wouldn't go on the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Kind of sucks. But, I don't know.
I've also been listening to a song called the theme song of Spirit Halloween. I've been addicted to that.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been trying to think of a Spirit Halloween based economy.
Or, well, like Halloween in January from the Sad Horse Show.
No. Just that every holiday has a Spirit Halloween, but like a spirit different thing that inhabits the old like buildings that Amazon put out of business.
Word.
And so like, Spirit Halloween like takes control of like all the Barnes and Noble that are put out of business every October, and then those buildings transition into Christmas buildings.
Or divided up by town and have it like the Nightmare Before Christmas, where you'll have like,
How would that work?
like at each town, their abandoned strip malls are all given to one holiday year round. So you have Christmas Town, Halloween Town.
But those people wouldn't. What would they do for the rest
Christmas
of the year?
Town, Halloween Town,
Hope that they make
Thanksgiving
enough money
Town,
during their respective
Easter.
holidays.
So it's like their harvest season. They have one harvest season
And it's
where they
staggered.
harvest.
Yeah. What the fuck does
So they
Santa
have
do?
one harvest season.
I mean,
With-
yeah, Christmas Town, they just make toys, I assume. Get ready for the next Christmas.
What does the fucking
Fireworks,
4th of July
obviously.
town make? Fireworks. Easy. This
4th
is
of
easy,
July
guys.
town will
What
just slowly
does-
conquer the other towns through their weapons manufacturing.
What does now? Are we including
Well, yes, I said
religious
Christmas
holidays?
Town.
Like, so yeah, because we're including Christmas Town. Are we having a Hanukkah Town or?
Well,
Or
definitely
are we having an
Easter Town.
Town?
Whether we
Easter
want to
Town
go to
is
the heathen
populated by-
religions.
Then I'm asking, are we having a Passover Town, which I think could be great.
Hanukkah Town.
But
Hanukkah
we should
Town.
definitely have a. But then what about Purim Town? And Purim Town and Halloween Town are in direct conflict.
Yeah, but Purim Town, they're all adults.
Because we don't want Purim to be in a. We don't want them to be in a small subsection of Halloween Town. You know.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
I'm imagining all of these also have the word spirit in front of it. Spirit Purim.
Yeah.
Spirit Christmas. Spirit Halloween. And spirit just becomes
Spirit
a
Eve.
conglomerate.
Spirit Ramadan.
That it just becomes like a conglomeration that like firebombs Amazon workers to drive up their profit for local business, like as the last local business. There I go, driving away on my motorcycle again. Yeah, the spirit of the last local business.
Ooh, I'm the
So like
last
Mark said,
local
a specter
business.
is haunting Europe. A specter of Christmas.
throw in some Halloween effect there. Ooh, Spectre.
A specter of Christmas. Ooh, Groundhog Day town?
Okay,
Wait,
did you know
that literally exists and it's called Punxsutawney?
Did you know that De Blasio is the only mayor to have killed? He killed the groundhog. He dropped it on Groundhog Day, and 3 days later it died
about that.
from trauma.
Thank you for calling attention.
De Blasio is
Groundhog Killer.
I came across this YouTube analysis of Groundhog Day, which was like pretty good overall. Like it was like just breaking down the themes and shit. It wasn't giving some dumbass theory about it being purgatory or whatever that no one cares about. But the guy was British, and he just sort of like offhandedly assumed that Groundhog Day was a made up thing for the purposes of the film. Like, he made some good points, because it's like, obviously, if this could easily be a Christmas movie, it would be a Christmas Carol ripoff. But it could easily be a Christmas movie, and everyone would see like, oh, this is like Christmas Carol, and by changing it to Groundhog Day, it kind of abstracts it, and also drives the point home that some people do derive deep meaning from Christmas, be that religious or like heavily family nostalgic. But with Groundhog Day, like no one really derives that kind of meaning, so it can kind of be abstracted. And yeah, he made a good point about it, but he 100% assumed that Groundhog Day was a made-up holiday for the purpose of the movie Groundhog Day, which I thought was adorable.
I like that De Blasio was like standing on I assume a riser, and he's so tall. Yeah, he's like
Isn't
7
he
feet
tall
tall.
already?
What?
I didn't realize Phil died from that.
Yeah.
Shit.
He's like 7 feet tall, and he was on a riser, so the groundhog dropped like
27 fucking
It was
feet.
like a skyscraper. It was like a groundhog skyscraper.
Oh my
You
god,
fucking
it's just
kidding
like
me?
fucking Monty Python exploded like a balloon full of meat. Oh my god. Oh, that's so funny. There was like a perfectly shaped, groundhog shaped hole left in the stage.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I did not realize he fucking dropped, or he killed the groundhog. I remember he dropped it.
He dropped the groundhog, and then it died 3 days later from
Still, like,
falling related trauma.
yeah, I guess if you're a groundhog and you spend your life underground, your body's probably not built to fall from any great heights. It's probably not because I was thinking like a cat, would be fine. A dog would be fine. But yeah, I guess groundhogs are specifically weak to heights.
Here it is. Groundhog died after New York Mayor Bill de Blasio
That's so
dropped it.
fucking funny.
Her shadow was one of the last.
Oh, that's so fucking hilarious. Oh my god, that writer needs a Pulitzer. You should get that writer to interview you.
Yeah, right.
That's like the best journalism
Wait,
I've
okay,
ever.
here's the New York Post. Zoo cover-up after groundhog drop by de Blasio.
So wait, was it like some knockoff like Bronx Zoo groundhog and not actually?
It was the Staten Island Zoo.
Okay, yeah, no one gives a shit.
The best of all the possible.
Yeah, no, Punxsutawney is obviously.
Oh my God! Here's the picture. Oh, the picture's so good. Look at this picture. I'm sending it there. Oh man.
Yeah, but
Look, it's.
Yeah, no, I remember when that happened.
The groundhog.
Did not realize the groundhog died.
Oh, this makes me sad.
And the groundhog died a week later, and then the zoo covered it up.
I hate that the zoo covered it up.
If you are the keeper of a magical groundhog, isn't your main job to like gloss over the fact when it dies and you replace it with a new one? Like, I feel like that's always the fiction we always play along to.
The
magical divining groundhogs that we as an American culture have.
Yeah, the shadow was the last thing.
It's so fucking funny. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, I think we should go out on that, guy.
Captain Bleep and the Game Master.
See ya.
Bye.
Till Halloween.
All right.
Bye.
Ooh.
Bye.
Spirit of Halloween. Put that in the mouth.
Ooh. Put it out on Monster Mash or some fucking shit like that.
It was the Monster Mash. God damn it, Marlo.
Yeah.
Is that Frankenstein on Slash?
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For monsters from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,